What's going on, students? It's Devlin Cassidy, aka the Scholar, and welcome back to another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. Today we're going to be going over Victor, and I'm really excited to do this one because this is actually very close to the list that won the KSC 1K Invitational, very close to my homie David's list, and so I can't wait to talk about why this deck is low-key slept on because it also just got 4th at Worlds. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about this deck, but before we get into it, make sure you guys go shop with Kingslayer cards. Use a promo code SCHOLAR, save 5% off on your checkout. Supports me, supports one of the best stores in the game, and more importantly gets you cardboard. So please make sure to go shop with them. And also, please, if you love this beautiful playmat, go shop with dankritual.com. They have amazing deck boxes, mats, sleeves, like the whole shebang. They get me fitted out with the amazing TCG accessories, so please go check them out because they'll also be helping me do my giveaway. So make sure you guys subscribe because I am so close to that faded 1K, and it would mean the world for me if I got there very, very soon. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get on in. So starting off with the grade 3s, I'm playing 3 copies of the V era Victor and 1 copy, ooh, I almost misplaced that, 1 copy of the G era Victor. So the G era Victor, of course, is here to combine with our Vic-10 for our history collection strides. And this is really important just because it lets us have a very good high roll play. But going second more than not, this Victor is very good just because it pluses to the board, gets us an Oxel like guaranteed, and still isn't a terrible ride-up turn because it still lets you like get triple drive and everything like that. So honestly, still a very solid ride-up. But it just gives us a little more like safety in terms of the ride-up for like Bustard or something else to go into our like first stride. But Victor here is really good just for that ride-up turn, which we can discuss too as well. But 3-1 split is pretty good just because we play some ratios to help us always get into the... And then as you guys already saw, the last grade 3s we're playing in the deck has 2 copies of Zubat. Zubat, more often than not, is pretty good. I don't miss this. Like, I don't miss Cosmolord. I was playing Cosmolord for a little bit. I'm not a huge fan just because like it only gets the 1 restand like once per turn. Like if you could continually restand it over and over again, it'd be a really good card. But Zubat gives you a little bit of resource. You can be greedy with your resources and then get refunded on the payback. So you can just be like counter charge, soul charge, draw a card is really good. It's kind of reminiscent of like the Mega Colony Relish Lady. But overall, this is really good. I wouldn't necessarily change this. Plus, it's a free CB. You draw a card, you call a card from your hand, and it gets a free restand. So after you already kind of like set up like 2 Oxel circles, like maybe you rode like this Victor already, and then you're trying to go into for a more like restand focus play, like with a Bustard or something like that, Zubat here is your great friend. So Zubat Victor over Cosmo Lord, just because it provides a little more safety on that Vanguard utility. Onto the grade 2s, I'm going to play 4 copies of Zazanda. As much as like a really good ride target as this is, I prefer not to ride this just because this is so impactful on a Accel circle. Like if you get to do 2 Accel circles and you get to call 2 to those additional rearguard circles, your power lines become crazy because everything that's restanding is now getting 10k to like potentially beat over a trigger, and that's why Zazanda is just so impactful. The fact that it can be called off the V Victor skill too is like why I prefer V Victor over going all in on G, because I know some people were playing like 3-1 splits, but like again, talking with Dave, like you just want to be able to find this card, get it to the additional rearguard circle like stat. So Zazanda helps us fulfill that and helps us have like really good like power lines once we get like a second Accel marker setup. If you have 2 of these, you guys probably may have seen on stream the other day when I was playtesting, I got to like some pretty ridiculous numbers just because Zazanda gets to do that. Then I'm playing 4 copies of Golsachi. Golsachi has resist importantly, and so this like still comes up in some matchups that still have like Denial Griffin packages, like, you know, Grand Blue, Narukami, like the best decks like Pale Moon, stuff like that. So them getting rid of this restander that gets power when it's restood itself is pretty safe. So that's why Golsachi is really good, just because the GB2, the rush restand, you get 7k, so it becomes 16, which is a magic number in the write-up or the history collection format, because if they go into their 11k like history collections, then they have to guard with 10ks on these swings when they restand. So Golsachi is just very good, and the fact that like 11 is now back in the format pretty consistently means a lot in terms of you being able to generate pressure over and over again. So Golsachi is just a mainstay because it protects itself and gets a restand for a counterblast. And then arguably one of the better additions to Nova Grappler is Spiral Breaker. I love Spiral Breaker. Not only does it help you in terms of like your ride consistency, like for grade ones, like you can draw into this blanket grade one and like hopefully hit a grade one out of the top 5. So like I'd much rather like discard one to not G assist than to have to like remove from game 2. It's just so much better. So this card like can be a saving grace in that manner. But the more important thing is that when it attacks, you can Soul Blast one. So it's a CB-less restand of when it's boosted to restand a rearguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 though, it gets to restand the entire column as the chosen unit, which was Zazanda. If you have double Zazanda, that column is getting plus 20, which is crazy. So that's why Spiral Breaker is really, really good. Do not sleep on this guy at all. He's an amazing card and really raises the ceiling for Nova Grappler. On to the grade 1s. I'm playing 3 copies of Arashid, 1 copy of the V Arashid. This is to not only, since we're only playing 6 total grade 3s, gives us better stride consistency, but also lets us find our G Victor if we need to go first. Which helps us have a little bit of a better, more like pressuring right up play. But this is still here because, you know, finding Heal Guardians is really good. Finding like anything off the top 5 is pretty comfortable. Plus it's a better booster because it gets like 13k and stuff like that. So like you can restand it with Zazanda. Like it becomes pretty good like in like force numbers. Like this can just like really be just called as a 13k beat stick to try to press some more numbers. So that's why like Airshit is not that bad. Then I'm playing 3 copies of Gunbarugan. Again, I need another CB-less restand. That's the main goal here, is just to be able to put on some pressure with CB. Plus, this is like another guy we can find early and call off the V Victor if we're forced to ride up with the V Victor. This just helps us find some more ways to restand and generate more pressure, so that way we can get the triple drive off the V Victor skill. Then I'm playing 2 copies of Geralhawk. Geralhawk is so good, not only because does he get to restand a card after he boosts, so whatever he boosted, he restands. He is CB1, draw a card, stand it, and this goes to Soul, which is so good. Like this card is so crazy. Like for Buster, this helps you like fulfill the restand of whatever it restood to get the additional drive check, and you drew a card off of it. So Geralhawk's really, really good. I wouldn't go over this more because like you still need some space for some things inside the deck, but like this card is fantastic. Then I'm playing 2 copies of Gunsden. Again, resist and being able to like protect your board is so crucial, especially in like the Narukami matchup. Like Impede is such a crippling card against this deck that you just be like, no, I'm gonna give my board resist. You can't do anything. Like Mega Colony matchup too, like you don't want them to Brilliant Blister something that doesn't have resist, and then like, oh cool, like you're shut out from playing that essentially. So again, Guns is just really, really good, really, really comfortable. And then when it restands, it gets 4k for every face-up card in your G zone. So it becomes like a pretty big beat stick, like on an Asdabulk turn, like post Bustard. You can just call these to the front row, rest them to give like, rest one of them to give the board resist, swing the other one, swing the rest of your regards, restand with the Asdabulk, and then these are like huge beat sticks in the front row, like on an Excel circle. So absolutely the play. Then I'm playing 2 copies of Hanali. So Hanali's still really good this format. I don't think people understand like really how good this card is in like in a vacuum. This card lets you still beat out certain decks that don't have answers to this, like Spike Brothers and a bunch of other things. And like even in the mirror, like you get to drop this and they have to go into really weird strides to bait this out, like off the board. And it just really helps you solidify like being able to gain tempo in terms of you being able to map out your opponent to like not like overgive them CB and then they kill you. So you can really get a lot of like control and tempo with this deck just because you can get some of your numbers to hit like a truck. So then it's like, okay, well then if you don't want to take this if you want to take the damage, then I'm going to eventually stop just so I can lock you out with a Hanali. Again, it's just kind of like that theory behind it. Like Hanali's just really good in a lot of matchups against like Narukami, things like that. Stuff that just gets a lot of multi-attack that's small chip pressure, since most of the time you're going to be on like an 11k when your opponent gets to do their clapback turn if you go first, is that same philosophy. Then for our PGs, of course, the ones that refund us. So Barian CB1 draw card after you pay the cost to like put on the guard, pitch, one draw card. So this refunds itself, and then the Elementary is free if your opponent's on the triple drive, of course. So again, just free PGs is what we want. Then on to the triggers. I'm playing 4 copies, of course, of Break Pass. This is your defensive draw crit. Like, there's no reason you guys shouldn't be playing this card. This card is so good. Just being able to give you soul and stuff like that for Bustard, as well as drawing cards, like, you can't go wrong. Plus, it's a crit, so it's more pressure offensively. And then I'm playing 4 copies of the Stride Fodder crit. Again, because we're only playing 6th grade 3s, our stride consistency is not that great, so we're near max on the Arishids and we're max on these, just that way we can stride properly. And then the last crit, and this is kind of like one that I'm still back and forth on. Dave plays the Red Lightning, or he's going back and forth on this too, where Red Lightning's just Shove the Soul flip a damage. This is CB1, Shove the Soul flip 2 damage, so you still like get the CC1, but this also has utility in the Link Joker matchup to where you can like unlock cards. So like if they're on like Freeze Ray or whatever, because they're trying to still like stun you out, you can just go, okay, cool, unlock my cards. You can't do anything because of the breaker, and now I'm setting up for my kill combo, like find a Gunston, give board resist, impactful in the front row with the Freeze Ray. So I'm gonna just kill you now. So that's the really good part about this. This just gives you some more utility and more flex. But perfectly the Red Lightning, the OG, that is perfectly fine. Just note that this is a 5K. Then I'm playing 2 copies to round out the PGs of Twin Blader. Draws are really good. Drawing cards on your opponent's turn is broken, so I much rather play like 6 defensive draw triggers between the Break Pass and these over like more crits or more like pressure or anything. For heals, 3 Heal Guardians. You want to be playing these just because, again, history collection format, like between like Gaia, between all these other decks that just have really good high roll potential, like you just don't want to like get blown out of the game because you didn't find one of these. So these are really good again to have. So we max out on those, but because we want to make sure we have our resources, I am playing the 1 copy of the Countercharge or Soul Charge card, just because for Bustard turns again, this helps you really save out. So that's why I like this ratio a lot. 3 1s I'm really a big proponent of a lot of my builds, minus like Neonectar because that deck's free. But everything else I've been really enjoying playing like a 3-1 split. And then, of course, you love it, you hate it, the OT. This card is broken. On a lot of pattern lines, like for Bustard and everything, you want to make sure your front row is like stood when you're doing your drive checks, so that way you get like full maximum value off this, because this will kill people. Once you give something 200 million and like you double its damage and then you can restand it a bunch of times is wild. So do not sleep on your boy here. It is very good, as this is like one of the most threatening over triggers in the game. And I'm very scared of Elbow Breath for good reasons. And then of course the V starter. You can play any V starter. I'm just playing the Extreme Battler one because playing Victor. That is it for the main deck. On to the G Zone. A lot of 1-ofs, forewarning, but we're going to be playing 2 copies of Victen. Victen is awesome. This card is so good. So not only does it let you get double Excel on G Victor, but it also lets you get a free restand. So with Victor, the Vanguard itself, you get double restand for 1 swing, which is really good because it lets you set up your board in terms of like good Elbow Breath positioning, good multi-attack positioning, so you can like swing some chip numbers, restand them, they get 5k bigger, and then you can do like your bounce back and forth restands, things like that. So just, again, you have to respect this. This is a really good going first play. It pluses you too because of the double XL, because you're always going to be going XL2. So don't sleep on Victen. This card is very good. And you've heard me reference them a lot. This profile, this is Bustard. This is the stride that I think is one of the better ones in Nova Grappler. So every time a unit restands, you can Soul Blast 1, flip a card face up in your G zone, and he gets +1 drive for the end of turn. And then when you attack with him, you have all those drive checks. And then if at the end of the battle, if he had 5 or more drive checks, you can pitch 3 to restand him, and then he gets drive -5. There's been times where I've had like an 8 drive check Bustard and then just like gone crazy because then I restand and then I get triple drive, so I get the pitch 3 back. It's just so good. Bustard is such a phenomenal card. One copy of Asda Bulk. This is like really good follow-up if you make like a third Excel marker. So like if you go G Extreme Battler Victor and then you go into a V1 after you've done like a whole like Bustard play, like because Bustard more or not is the strat you want to go into. But this is really good. Also, this is really good against the Mega Colony matchup. Like if they're not pressuring your board and you do have the re-ride, you can just straight up re-ride into this. Swing, CB1, restand your board. Is really good, especially if you can make like a lot of Excel markers like in the grind game. So this card also kind of helps you like out bugs in a really weird way, but again, this card's really good, can generate a lot of pressure. It gets 5k for every card it restands. Like, pretty self-explanatory. And then the next stride, the latest one, is Merciless. This is a restanding Vanguard. This is another stride you can go into for the Mega Colony matchup, as long as they don't have G Brilliant. Because I've still punished people. I still think G Brilliant is really good just because when you have to force your opponent into worse plays, you can kind of get you with the gashas, but this is really good. So every time a unit restands, you can CB1, discard 2 to restand him, and he gets drive -2. Let me make sure that that's right. Oh no, drive -1. At the end of the battle, this unit attack, this unit gets drive -1. So you can do some funny things and like restand replays, and you just keep going for him. Because until you run out of hand, he can keep swinging. He'll just run out of drive checks first. But again, a perfectly fine option. Then we have our winning champ Victor. This is one of the weird strides I was talking about, like how you kind of like counterplay Hanali. If they like drop 1, you can like snipe it if you're at the GB3, where you have to, your opponent has to choose the rear guard with the lowest power. Most of the time it's a Hanali being a 6k, so that's this. And it kind of works the same with Bustard. Soul Blast 1 every time when your rear guard restands. That this unit and that unit get 5k. Not as good as a drive check, but it's just there to kill the Hanali if your opponent doesn't remove it from the game. One of the favorite champ Victor, again, kind of similar to Merciless, just a restanding rear guard, restanding Vanguard with restanding rear guards to just constantly pressure your opponent. So this card is very, very good. Again, can't sleep on this whole line. So I really do enjoy playing this card a lot when it comes up, just because it's like reminiscent of the anime. We still do play the GB8 Dragger. I rarely ever go into this because if you go History Collection Bustard, most of the time like the game is over. Either you have lost or you have steamrolled your opponent out of the game. So Dryger really never comes up, but it's a really, really scary win condition. It's like one of the, I still think it's like the second best GB8 in the game next to Spikes. Just because, oh, cool, when my card rests, it restands. So it's really, really good. Just to give your opponent, all your rear guards double attack. So that's why we play Dryger. I play one Ori Gorum. I think this is where Dave's list different. He doesn't play the Ori Gorum. He plays, I think, another G guard here. But I like Ori Gorum just for like sometimes you're put in like really bad positions where you just get to just hard stride Ori Gorum. Like if you flood out on the same name cards, you just hard stride Ori Gorum, swing in a rear guard pass, and then you have free stride for like the rest of the game. Or you can set your opponent's power to 0 if you have like double Zazanda. So there's sometimes like where this card comes up, don't get me wrong, like you're not actively hunting to ever stride for this card ever, but again, you want to be making sure that you play and go into your Ori Gorum correctly. And then lastly but not least, Harmonix Messiah. I know, not pretty, not even the new errata text one, but this is just really here for the quick the Guardian ticket and the unlock cards. Really need it. On to the G guards, we're playing 2 Doga Titan. This card is so good to flip up off Bustard because you get the Soul Blast 1, flip it back face down, and countercharge 1. So this gives you resource. So like if you can adequately prepare in advance, Doga Titan is your guy just because you get to G guard a little more often too, just with that. So this is really good. I'm really glad that they got this card to either unlock cards again to help us out Link Joker or the countercharge. So we love Doga Titan for that reason. One copy of Unionor. This card lets you like do Zubat things without having Zubat. Just because if you have no soul and no damage, you can CC and soul charge 2. And if you did and it gets both. It gets 5k for each time you resolve an effect. If you have no damage, face up, CC 2 becomes 20. If you have no soul charge 2 becomes 25 or 20, depending on if you did the other skill or not. So still pretty safe, just resource management. One copy of the Steinfeld. This is to draw cards during your opponent's turn. So like you can go Steinfeld plus this if you have 2 G Guardians in hand just to get resources back, but also draw more cards. A little 2-card nifty combo there. Dave plays a second one of these from his list I saw last. Personally, I never found myself going into the second one, so that's why I was like, well, I think the Origorum line's a little bit better, so that's why I played this over this. But again, the second one of this is fine if you find yourself going into it, because you're able to like recur your resources back a little bit. Is perfectly fine. And then one copy of Gundreed. Gundreed, every time an attack misses, you give your opponent, well, you give your Vanguard the effect of every time an attack misses, you countercharge 1. Again, 2, you can go like Gunfried and Steinfeld in this. Flip a Doga Titan so that way you can G-Guard a little more and have your lines like there. And then the last G-Guard we play is Dismal, just because if your opponent's trying to attack into a restander or like get rid of a board, Dismal is there to protect it. You not have that card die, which is exactly why you did it. And then of course your good old markers you need for stuff. But that is gonna do it, ladies and gentlemen. That is Victor. That is a deck I was never really expecting to do on the channel, but I'm glad I got to talk about the deck a little bit. I think it has really good potential. I think that really good pilots can really make this deck very, very strong. And it proved itself at Worlds. I mean, it got 4th in 6 rounds, so and it made it through Top Cut. So I'll take a loss to Katrina any day with this deck, because Katrina, I think, is one of the best decks still in the format. But again, like this deck is really good. You can't sleep on it. It has some bricking issues, but if you don't brick and you kind of see everything and you get to high roll, you're for sure winning that game. But make sure you guys go shop with Kingslayer cards. Use the promo code SCHOLAR, save 5% off on your order, and go shop with Dank Ritual, man. They're gonna get you set up right. Really looking forward to doing that giveaway for you all, so that way you guys can attest to how truly amazing that these products are. And with that being said, I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe. You know, let me know what you think about Victor. You know what I mean? Because this deck is really tons of fun. And make sure you subscribe, man. I really want to get to that 1K so I can get this giveaway popped off for you all. So just make sure to tell your friends and your family they love Vanguard. They love good old TCG content. That I got that rolling for you all. But I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. I love you all. Until next time, take care.
Still